Hello. Of course, right when I start recording, my refrigerator starts making noise, but I think you can hear me pretty good. So I wanted to react to or give some comments on Ben Shapiro. He was trending on Twitter, so that's why I knew something he said upset the leftist Twitter mob or whoever they are. And I knew that it was going to be something either juicy or something ridiculous that they took out of context or kind of took in a weird way. So I thought I would figure out what he said and kind of give my thoughts on it. So he was saying an 80-year-old dying or an 81-year-old dying from COVID-19 is not the same as a 30-year-old dying from COVID-19. And so people started saying that he was calling for death camps, basically meaning if we all get rid of the lockdowns and people start dying because the lockdowns are lifted, that he's basically responsible for death, or he wants people to die. And of course, any reasonably minded person, any sane person who has been seeing different sides of the argument, all the facts that have been coming out, research, whatever, and just using critical thinking and logic, would agree that that's a very big stretch to say that, because he wants the lockdowns lifted, that he wants everyone to die. It's ridiculous. But I have a few points that I wanted to make based on a lot of the comments I've been seeing on Twitter about this. And someone called him out for his stance on being pro-life, and they basically said something to the extent of, well, so much for that pro-life stance. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions I've seen about people who are pro-life. And actually, I misunderstood this at first as well, because I'm like, well, pro-choice sounds great because everyone wants the choice, right? But it's not pro-choice over everything. It's pro-choice over your own body. Now, when you are carrying another human being and growing another human being, your body is no longer just your body. It's your body and another human being's. And that other human being was conceived with another human being outside of your body. So to me, pro-life it doesn't mean pro-live forever. So when someone uses your pro-life stance against you, saying, well, then why are you okay with an 80-year-old dying? Or why are you okay with a 25-year-old dying from a car accident or whatever, or natural causes or cancer, whatever it is? And this is the point. It's not pro-live forever. It's give someone the chance to be born and grow into a person that can make decisions for themselves. And from then on, and there's risks in everything, really, honestly, right? Right after you're born, you could die. But why should you be systematically or consciously killed in the womb? Doesn't make any sense. But what I want to say about that pro-life is, it's not pro-live forever, right? It's don't kill my baby while you're growing in your body. That's what I feel. If you're not growing my baby in your body, you can do whatever you want with your body. It's your choice. And in the instance of sex and everything like that, is you need to consent, and the other person and I need to consent in order for us to do that. But once we conceive a child, I get half the choice on what happens with that child, even though it's in your body. That to me is fair. And right now I'm still kind of debating, well, what if it's something that the mom is putting in her body to fuel her, and it's inadvertently being fueled to the baby, basically. Do I get a say on what they eat and what they do? That's the part I'm kind of like iffy on. I think the general things of try to take care of your body as best as you can while you're pregnant with my child, I think that's a great way to go about it. Meaning, take the precautions that your doctor's telling you: don't smoke, don't drink, don't do drugs, whatever it is, so that the baby has a chance to be born as healthy as possible. After that, you can do whatever you want with your body, as long as it's not hurting the kid. That's 50% mine, basically. So that's my take on the pro-life thing. It's not pro-live forever. It's not. That's the biggest misconception, I think, that is going on with the pro-life versus pro-choice. You can be both, in my opinion. I'm both. I am pro-life for babies in the womb, but every other time I'm pro-choice. Makes sense to me. Of course, there's nuances to that, but in certain situations like co-parenting, blah, blah, blah. But I'll leave it at that. So another thought I had was, so people are so outraged over death right now, related to COVID-19. And it's so interesting because what's good about this is the spotlight has been put on the death rates of a lot of different things, whether it's suicide, or it's cancer, or it's heart disease, or um, flu, seasonal flu, or other like SARS or MERS, whatever it is. All those things have existed. H1N1, all those things have existed for basically our entire lifetimes, and no one had that much outrage over those deaths and those things, and we didn't take any measures to really, in general, to, or as far as we're maybe taking them now, to really mitigate those or slow the spread, which is that new term that we kind of all hear. So why is this one more sensitive to people? The deaths in this case more sensitive to people is because we have more access to information and more access to each other, to where we can rile each other up or build each other up, or the mainstream media has more control over our society and what the narrative is. I don't know. I think it's just interesting because a lot of people die from natural causes every day, even tragic causes, and I don't see this much hysteria over it at all. So I just think it's interesting. And I think a lot of people's argument is, well, it's a new disease, so we don't know what's happening, and we got to make sure we prevent everything that we can, blah, 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 blah. But then wouldn't that support the argument that we should follow exactly what we've done in the past with new diseases, meaning like H1N1, SARS, MERS, whatever you want to say? It's just like if any patient comes into a hospital, right? They don't follow different protocols for every single patient. They start with a baseline and like protocol until they know more about what's happening with the situation. Shouldn't we approach a virus, and a new virus for sure, that way as well? Meaning, okay, let's keep an eye on this, see how it progresses. Okay, we're good. Okay, everything's good. Things are progressing, but they're not as bad as we thought. Okay, and now they're good. But now they took all these precautions without really any evidence that they were going to work, first of all, because this whole social distancing thing is basically a giant social experiment. We've never done this type of mitigation or anything like this before on this level. The problem is we don't know if the social distancing is actually working, because we haven't done a controlled experiment where we've had the same exact variables with social distancing and same exact without. The closest thing we have right now, from what I understand, is how Sweden took way less measures or less strict measures on their response to the virus versus most of the world. And we basically are seeing that, from what I've seen, is it wasn't much of a difference in the effects it had on the virus spreading. So did the whole world overreact? And did they act too soon before they actually knew what they were acting on? Or was this being hijacked and being used as a way to hurt certain people in society that disagreed with the people who were on the side of, or on a certain side? That could be it as well. So I think personally that was the biggest mistake, is taking action too soon before we had enough information to really know. And what's really happened out of that is it's actually made fools of any and all health officials who made presumptions over faulty information that are now wrong, and they're risking their credibility going forward because they basically it seems like they cried wolf in this situation because the information they had was not correct, or it wasn't the full information that they needed to make an educated decision. So I think now they are really doubling down on what they decided to do a while ago, because they know that if they reverse their course now, it's admitting that they're wrong. And I think the last thing leaders in general, I think is a good thing, the last thing that leaders in general want is to be wrong. So I think this either is going to be a wake-up call to people and a lesson to a lot of leaders to be a little more cautious and a little less reactionary and like going full force before really knowing that's the right decision. And I think some people might be hurt in the long run because of those rash decisions that weren't based on all the information that maybe have been needed to make an educated guess or educated decision on it. And we'll see in the next year or two how that all pans out and how it works out as far as elected officials, if this hurts them in their elections, or if public health officials the public health sector in general kind of transforms because of this, because of some of the misdealings that were going on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But all in all, Ben Shapiro, clearly it's Twitter being Twitter and blowing everything out of proportion that has to do with any right-leaning philosophy or any comment. I agree with Ben, and I think it was taken out of context, of course. And the crux of this whole situation with Ben was that people are using his pro-life stance against him, when in reality they're using a skewed, incorrect version of pro-life against him. So I think that's kind of where I want to end it here. Let me know what you think. And if you have someone who is very heated on this argument and you feel like this video could help them kind of understand you a little better, maybe you're struggling articulating your view and maybe you agree with kind of what I'm saying, let me know. If you don't agree with me, I would love to hear from you also. This is a place where I'm not someone who like censors comments or anything. So leave them in the comments below or share this on your social media to maybe your friends to tell me what you think as well, or tell me what they think as well. So could be a good discussion to kind of clarify what exactly pro-life and pro-choice are. So thank you again for taking the time to listen/watch, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.